3, 2, 1. You're an artist on record, your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. If it is your first time here, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified. Also, if you want to catch our interviews unedited and be able to hang with your favorite artist, you could join our VIP all access members only club. That's right. You could either be a part of Patreon or join special VIP members only. Click there for $9.99 a month. That's right, $9.99. It's under $10. 2 coffees at Starbucks won't give you this much enjoyment as I will. We got Dee Snider, legendary Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. Well, he's here to share his first novel, Frats, based on true events. Don't touch that dial. It all starts now. When I was a kid in high school, I didn't know frats even existed.
They didn't exist. Yeah, they didn't exist. It was a world I grew up in, and I just assumed that's every high school around the country had high school frats. And when I started traveling, even to Jersey, and it would come up in conversation, they'd go, "What's a high school fraternity?" It wasn't a thing. And the more I researched it, I discovered it was basically 5 towns, South Shore, Nassau County, Long Island, where this microcosm, this world of this high school frats who had charters with the police. They were, the parents and teachers, because they had Greek letters, they sort of treated them with like, oh, they're legit. But they were just gangs roaming the halls, kicking people's asses. In a nutshell, think The Outsiders meets The Wanderers. If you remember the movie The Wanderers, it's about this gang, an actual environment in the suburbs of Long Island in the early 70s. But there's a happy ending at the end. Not that big. Like, and it was a dream. No, and everything that happened, every event, it's an amalgam of events from the 70s when I was there, growing up there. It didn't all happen to one person, but I put it into one story. But all the things that you read are actually real things that happened and went on.
So another thing I just heard, that you sold your catalog. What's the story with that? Felt it was time to do it? Is this?
No, it becomes a matter of economics. It's a even more simply, a mathematical equation. So when you get royalties, you pay in your tax bracket, and fortunately, I'm in a high tax bracket. Yeah. So any check comes in as 50%. When you sell your catalog, it's considered a capital gain, and it's like 18%. So you say, well, yeah, but still, why would you sell it? Well, what they do is they approach you and say, listen, we look at what you're making, and they call it a multiple. And they say, we will give you 7 times multiple, 10 times multiple, 15 times multiple. That means years in advance. And at a certain point, they hit a multiple where you're looking at X millions of dollars. And you go, all right, this is the next 10 years. I forgot what my multiple was, but around that, 10 years. I don't know what royalties you're going to get 10 years going forward. I'm assuming we're not going to take it. That's the big one, is going to continue to have value. But what if it doesn't? What if it dies out? So they're taking a chance on that. But you go, now I'm going to get this money in one lump sum. And if I sell it, it's taxed at 18% instead of 50%.
Yeah.
Now I've got 82% instead of 50 of that money in my hand, 10 years worth of royalties at a better tax rate in my hand. And now I take that money and I can invest that, know where it is. And this is my retirement fund. So it just, when they get to a certain multiple and you do the math and you go this, and your accounts say, for your future, this is the smart move to make. And you do it. Now, 35 years, it returns. I'll be gone, but my kids are waiting. So I'm probably about 30 or 20 something years left. They'll be, and when time comes, they will claim it. You have to claim it, and the family will get the catalog back. And my kids will have in their trusts and things like that, any royalty stream that comes in, it'll be back in the family hands.
See, these are the things you don't learn in high school. All we learn about, no, they don't teach us this, but we learn about, fighting with people and trying to survive in the 70s, but nobody taught us this stuff.
It's amazing what you absorb. My wife's father is well, he was actually a builder. The family is the family, and he built a lot of properties, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 6 3 daycare centers in the Bronx, and some big properties, and he got dementia advanced, and she was made her full power of attorney. So we had to take over the businesses, which means I've been taking over the business. So I've been running all the properties and all the leases and all the and doing all the stuff. And then people like, yes, Dee Snider. And people on the phone go, Dee Snider? Yeah. I didn't think I'd be doing this either. But fortunately I've got a big enough brain in this giant head, and I'm capable of taking over. And because toward the end, before he got handed off to Suzette, he just let things, because dementia just went crazy. So we had to fix it. But we learned. Who would have thunk?
Who would have?
We were struggling through high school and all that
right
stuff. And with
rocking out and thinking now. So here's Dee Snider calling up.
I'm a real estate guy.
Do you have a real? I have a real estate license. You have one?
Oh no! I just stepped in. As a matter of fact, we've done 3 of the properties. We've got 99-year leases on them, and everything's like now. We got all set up. One of my sons, he's taken over because they need to have somebody who's going to. I'm trying to retire. I don't want to be dealing on the phone with real estate issues.
Why
so
not?
One of my sons is running the family business now. But
Dee Snider, the real picture. Are you thinking of selling your home right now? This is Dee fucking Snider. What? Yeah, we're not going to take it. We're going to make you a deal. You can, it'd be the real.
Became a big realtor, Neil Smith.
Want to hear something? Stop.
Of Alice Cooper.
Right. Okay. Stop. Yeah. Well, I'm going to interrupt you. Yeah. Right before I had you, this is probably the best 2 guests I ever had on Monday. I had Neil right before you.
Wow, Neil, I've spoken to him in years.
And Neil said, please, and I was going to say this at the end. For the end. He goes, please tell Dee I said hello, because I had him scheduled at 9, and then your guy called me to have you. I go, okay, I got to get this, because I could have talked to him for a long time. I let it go. I try to be respectful.
Stories.
What a great guy. And at the end, he gave me an exclusive. He said he tried out for Sister.
Yes, he did. He did.
You know who I have coming up here in the next 30, 45 minutes? I got Dee Snider coming on here.
Oh, Dee, Al, that's great. I had met Twisted Sister, and I love those guys, and had seen them play around that same era, the late 70s, early 80s. And at one time, I actually did go down and audition. They were looking for a drummer, and I sat in with them and jammed with them.
Did you really?
I had a blast. I love it. You have to tell him I said hi, and we've been friends ever since. And he just, because really think about it. I mean, they were more of a headbanger band than Alice Cooper, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Although I would have had a blast, but it was fun to do, but it worked. It worked out for the best because they found a great drummer.
He did, and so he comes in. Good God, it's one of my heroes, Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Brings, for those who remember that, he always had the biggest set of drums, and he works with Premier, and Keith Moon was with Premier, and he used to tell Premier each year, how many drums does Keith have? And they'd say, oh, he's rocking 9 now, he'll give me 10. It was always one more than Keith. But he had mirror drums, and it doesn't sound, but this is the first time anybody saw mirror drums. They literally had like a disco ball mirrors. I mean, these drums weighed a ton. So we auditioned him for Twisted Sister. This is a dream come true. And he rolls in the mirrored kit, and his roadie sets it up. And Neil Smith sits down on the drums and plays with Twisted Sister. Unfortunately, the 70s drummers had a different feel than 80s drummers. And they were a little looser. And they were great. I mean, $1 billion babies. Come on. Come on, we love this stuff, but it didn't have that the drummers as it got to the 80s were like more muscle, almost like they were beat. They were really working. AJ Pirro with big ham hock arms, and he used to and just it wasn't the right feel for the band. And one of the toughest calls I ever made in my life was ever to call Neil up and tell him, It wasn't a good fit. And it wasn't that he's not great and he's not legendary. He is, but just it wasn't. We were inspired by Alice Cooper, but we also were AC/DC and Judas Priest, and these bands were much more. It was all in that.
Yeah.
In that, it had that drive. And Alice Cooper never was about that drive. They had their moments, but they were more, whatever, rock, less metal,
It was, but that's so when you had to make that phone call, how long did you sit there and debate it in your head? Like, oh shit, I gotta call.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I wanted nothing more than to have Neil
You try to
Smith
pass it to somebody else that you call.
Just the Twisted Sister and Neil Smith. We were at that point, we were crossing over, about to get signed. It would have just been a great conversation.
So this is right before you had AJ, correct?
Yeah, I remember just one more thing. AJ, right. But yeah, so I remember I became friends with Michael Bruce as well, and this is sort of speaks to with Neil. So Mike comes down and we're going to play some Alice Cooper he's in a club, and we're in a big club, Speaks it was called, on Long Island, and we rehearse and we go through it, and the rehearsal's great, and then we get up there and we play, and after the set, hey Mike, I was like, he goes, well, everything was great until your bass player went into warp 5. And what he meant was like when we were rehearsing and we're playing, but all of a sudden now we're on stage, and the twisted aggression that existed. It was that attack, and all of a sudden it was like we sang differently, we played differently, everything was harder. And Mike's there from the 60s, 70s, I should say, going, what the hell's going on? These guys are intense, So he just said, so that was it. There was a difference between those players from the early 70s to the players 10 years later.
Funny, I forgot even to ask him about his real estate agent. There's so much to talk about with guys
Rock
like
and Realtor. He's like
one
of the biggest realtors in Connecticut. It's huge.
Yeah.
He basically reinvented the real estate in Connecticut, and huge success. The Rock and Realtor. Yeah.
All right, man. Having you here, everybody. This is Dee Snider. Make sure you check out Frats. Links will be down below. Links will be up. That was the wonderful Dee Snider. And if you want to catch more of this episode, unedited, uncut, join our VIP All Access Patreon or become a member right here for $9.99 a month. Be a member. Be a part of the interviews. Why we go live. Ask your favorite celebrity what they're up to right here. Until then, something cool is going to pop up here. Make sure you click on it. And we'll catch you all later. Remember, it's only rock and roll, and we like it. And who loves you, baby? We do.